are being blocked, so she had to do Google Forms on the fly. And then Kelly, tell us about, you were talking about personalized PD and less is more and all those things. Can you tell us about that? This was we were talking about fail fest. It's before question 1. I'll share my screen so you can see.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess I've been coaching for a few years, and I've tried different coaching models. So, I've learned through some of those models that, less is more, like the bite-sized PD, especially right now, just something quick with one thing that I'm sharing. They seem to enjoy that. They like that because it's so much planning for them right now. And again, knowing your audience, that's huge, especially with the technology. I've gone in before assuming that everybody, we could do this in 50 minutes. Everyone go here, go there. And they're like, what? What am I thinking? And I've had a lot of fails that way. And I'm like, oh, wow. And I work with another coach, and we've got to the point where we can split the groups too. If you want to step-by-step stay here, if you're ready for advanced, go here. And so knowing the audience is huge. And then, I'm in the second cycle with the coaching cycle, with the Google coaching cycle. And this has probably been the most engaging coaching cycle that I've used with teachers. And I've used several different models, and I've had the most success with this. With invites into the room, visiting the classrooms, the personalized, with that grip jam, having them, decide what their challenge is and working towards that, having that ownership and choice. It definitely changed my approach to coaching. So just lessons I've learned. But I've had a lot of fails, with old models that I've tried, and, you think you set up, a great coaching experience, and then, they don't want the door shuts. It's like, okay, just, you can be a resource provider, you can be this, and, they have a different role in mind for you. So this definitely was a better approach, or is a better approach.
And what makes it different? Is it the choice and the fact that it's based on the teacher's problem? Well,
I think so, because a lot of times, this is what everyone has to do. So this is a school initiative. Everyone's going to try this, or, the principal has decided you will do this. So, with the grip jam, I had them narrow down 3 challenges. I gave them some scenarios, and then I said, now it's your choice. Like, which one do you have the most passion? And I said, either it's a challenge or area of professional growth. And they like that ownership. So it did. I think that made a difference. Choice and personalization.
Yeah. It's good to hear, like from a new coach, it's good to hear your perspective on it. That's great. And Kim, you were telling us about your fail with your project with Google Earth, and it just made me laugh. So can you tell what happened and how did you follow it up?
So if I'm working with a classroom teacher, so, as a library media specialist, I have a website and I have pages for every department. So those are like general resources. So it's got, websites, ebooks, all that. But then if a teacher wants to work with me, I create a subpage for that. So I had all my links on the subpage, and there was an area where they had a choice for, how this is for students, how they would be able to present what they were researching. And so I was, throwing out suggestions. So somehow, I don't even know how I did this, but when I did the link on the website, I was in Google Maps instead of in Google Earth. So I thought I was going directly to, the location that I wanted to be in French Polynesia on Google Earth. And so, I'm explaining to them, so, you're in Google Earth, and I'm going around, still not realizing that I'm in Maps, and clicking on all of these things and saying, these are some of the places that you can add to your project and this and that. And look, up here on the left, this is where you can add a new project, and it's not there. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. So I hit refresh, and I have no idea. And of course, I'm sitting in my office. I'm virtual even when the kids are face to face. So, I don't physically go into classrooms right now. Normally I would, but this year I'm not. So, so I've got like the blank screen stare from all of the kids or their, or their avatars. So, I don't even know, who's really watching this. And I'm just like kind of talking to myself. So basically I had thrown directions in there for how to do it. So I was like, all right, well, I don't know why, but for some reason it's just not working right now. So yeah, here are the directions. If that's something that you decide you want to do. And then I just left it as a disclaimer, like, yeah, now that I've shown you this and shown you how not to do this, you probably aren't going to do this for your project, and moved on. So yeah,
Okay.
It was a real fail.
Brilliant, thank you. And Gerardo, you were talking about fail pivots. Do you want to tell us about that?
I wrote about plan A, plan B, plan C, and I was remembering the way where you do the things different without technology. So maybe we need to be creative, but we need to remember what we did several years ago. I wrote about the classic problem. You don't have operating well your projector. So you have all your slides, all your deck ready. You are going to connect your projector and it didn't work. And what can you do with that? So I was remembering that interesting thing that were used piece of chalk of different colors and the motion to draw in the blackboard. And how do we use all the areas of the blackboard? Because when you think in a slide, you think some areas, you think in the perfect triangle, you think of the correct design. When we used to use the blackboard, we were masters in that.
I wasn't.
Use a part for this, another section for this, another section for this, and maybe you are very younger for know that. But I used the blackboard with piece of chalk, and it was amazing because the creativity and the use of the other technologies could be our salvation in moments of difficulty, in moments when the technology failed. And maybe if anything works, then try to remember how did you keep your class in attention just by using a correct storytelling words, and how could you keep them silence? Yes, silence with technology. It's amazing. I enjoyed a lot remembering because Laurita, my wife, and I used to give some kind of courses together, and he loves now technology, but always she tells us plan B, plan C, plan D, because when you are in plan Z, you need another plan too. So I think that it's the fail fest and the fails in classroom, it's a thing of all days. And we have to be ready to get the next plan. Thanks, Francis.
Thank you. Thank you. Cami, do you want to tell us what happened to you was it last week, did you say in the chat?
I just have to remember what I said for that question. Oh yeah. No, it's good. It was like,
you just added in the chat there, yeah.
Oh, that one.
You just typed in the chat, yeah.
you know what, I can't even remember what I was doing, but I just remember, okay, well, this is plan C and I do have a plan F. Okay, here comes plan F. Like I can't even remember what, oh, you know what it was? I use a lot of virtual reality. We have a set with goggles and we just had, last week, I was at a school and, the kids are all excited because the lady with the virtual reality's here and we've been having trouble with our system. And I've used this like for 3 years. I've done hundreds of sessions. I can troubleshoot a lot and I just couldn't. And these kids are so excited. Okay, well, I have another try. Let's try this. Doesn't work. Okay, try this. Change the Wi-Fi, change this, like just all the things I could try and nothing. And then it worked for 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, get the kids in here quick. But by the time the kids came in, it stopped working. And it was really like, okay, I'm out of like I'm on plan H and that's as far as it goes. In the end, we got bought a different router, and I've had good success since. But it was like, I've tried everything. Like it's not even like it's something that I'm new at. Sometimes when you're new and it's like, ooh, I'm just learning here too. But this was like, no, I do this all the time. I was at plan H and I had no more. So that's what that was.
Okay, thank you. Priscilla, yours was another one that made me smile. Do you want to tell us about when you taught the same lesson twice for your evaluation? That was like, wow.
Oh, that was fun. So I've used Common Sense Media and I taught at 3 schools. So I taught multiple grade levels. And what happened was I had taught that lesson at that school already, but I was planning my lessons for another school and I somehow like mixed them up. And so I taught the same lesson. It was like private versus personal information and from Common Sense Media, and like went through the whole lesson with the kids. I was just like, wow, they know so much about this. Like they know the definitions and everything. And I was like, okay. And I was like, maybe I brought it up last year because I had the kids multiple years. So these 4th graders I've had since kindergarten. And so like I went through everything, and then later that day I realized that I had already taught that lesson because I was grading things and I was just like, huh? And the kids never said anything. I talked to them next week and they're just like, well, the person was here and we didn't want to say anything. Like, not that like it would have been bad. Like I would have probably done something on the fly, but I was like, wow. So they were good sports about it. Yeah.
And you got a good evaluation.
I did get a good evaluation.
Brilliant. Melissa, you didn't fill in the slides, but is there anything you want to add to this? Anything you want to say now?
I don't think so. I think I shared last time.
We talked about these last time. We did. Yeah. So. Hi, Stephanie. Are you okay?
Hi, I'm good. I'm just listening. I actually did not get those slides. So
okay, that's fine. But just if you want to speak or say anything, just ask a question. That's fine. How about you, Becky? Have you got anything to add at this point on the fail fests?
No, I'm just loving the idea of having all these backup plans. And I think like the best thing we can do to support our teachers and our students when we bring in new tools and new strategies is to help them and prepare for a backup, or like make sure that we're not implementing too many new tools. So that way the students like know, hey, actually I could make this work with Google Slides, or I could make this work with, Jamboard's not working. I know how to use Google Drawing type of thing. So empowering our students to be able to find those alternative options too, by not overwhelming with too much newness, I think has been helpful. But I love the idea of a fail fest and calling it out with students and celebrating. We tried on something new. Hey, I was in maps instead of Earth, and that happens, and we moved on. So, yeah, I love it.
And last time, didn't we talk about having fail fests with teachers as well? Is that something any of you have tried? Have you done that? I would like to, but I haven't tried it. No, neither. I tell my teachers that I learned about technology because I make so many mistakes. Yeah. My students today were just telling me, teacher, that's too many links. It's great, but it's too many links. Yeah. Right. And let's move on then to question 1. And the question 1 is about cloning the teacher. And you all had different ideas for this, but lots of you were talking about screencasting and making videos. And Kelly, you were talking about hoping that teachers will continue to use videos. Do you think it will happen? What do you think?
I hope so. We keep sharing, ways that you can use the practices that we're using now, in a blended environment. Just a lot of the teachers have used the screencasting. I mean, they also, the kids can keep referring back to it at the high school level, which they seem to benefit from that. If it's math and teacher videotape themselves with a problem, the students keep referring back to that. So it's not a one-shot done. Some of the teachers have actually, are doing even a flipped classroom now where they're still making their videos and then, just kind of going over. It's more hands-on than in the classroom. But I hope they do. I keep thinking when we come back, I hope we don't go back. There's so many new things that we've learned, fresh ideas. And again, screencasting, and even having the kids doing some screencasting to show creations and learning with that. So there's just different ways that we can use that.
Yeah, brilliant. And the other thing you were talking about was you wanted new, fresh ideas for making interactive videos. And Roxy, I was wondering if you had loads of ideas on that, because I've seen all your videos on Twitter and they look amazing.
Yeah, I've just been recently playing with Flipgrid and just like learning how to use all the little editing tools. So a lot of the videos I'm making now is just like a good excuse to practice that. Screencastify was the first one, though, that I started using when I was in the classroom. We're really trying to push our teachers to make their own videos, because I always say it was like the gateway tool into rethinking, the way you could set up your classroom. Like all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, all these other things I can do because I'm not standing in the front of the class leading these whole group lessons. So I think they're a little nervous about, being on camera, or they have that. I really love that part that Jenny McGeer wrote about I think it was like embracing imperfection, because our teachers, I think sometimes they think about how much time it's going to take to get it perfect. And I'm like, does not need to be perfect. It just needs to be you. It needs to be, your smiling face. It needs to be your voice. Like the kids just want to hear you. I think they'll think it's funny if you make a couple of mistakes here and there. So we're trying to find some brave souls to really start using that.
Yeah. My students love it when I make mistakes. That's the best part of the class, they think. Go on, Melissa.
Just wanted to kind of continue on with what Roxanne was talking about, that we did a training with, I think, Doug Fisher, and he was talking about how very important it was for teachers to just, if they're going to record a video, do it one time, one shot. If you make a mistake, if you flub up over your words or whatever, leave it in there. One, which he didn't mention, which was my big point, was that you save yourself time if you don't keep doing it over and over again. But two, the kids see that, oh, if the teacher is just there and real and isn't like super perfect in everything she's doing, then maybe I can do it too. So it's really modeling just putting yourself out there and sharing, whatever it is you have to share without 1,000 takes. Otherwise, if they see this model of perfection, they're going to think, well, I can't do that. I can't make it where my picture goes exactly. But if they see you go, oh, shoot, I didn't mean to put that there. Hang on a second. Okay. All right. Thank you. Then they realize they can do it too. So, but the big thing for me was like the time saver, because you mentioned Flipgrid, Roxy. Holy moly. When I start playing with the stickers and moving things around and trying to get the frames right, and then if I hit the back button accidentally and I got to start all over again, I'm like, so anyway, but yeah.
It's fun though.
That's all. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. And then, oh yeah, Kim, you were talking about your videos and how the length of your videos. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so back in March, when we were closed, we, as a team, the digital learning team and the library media specialists, we made these how-to videos for teachers. And, you know, I was trying to come at it from an angle where so our elementary schools don't have certified librarians. So I was trying to help them because they have the digital learning specialists and they have the support from them. But there were a lot of library resources that they didn't know about, didn't know how to use. So I'm trying to create these videos, but I kept thinking of things that I thought were really important. And so I was never, ever able to make a video that was, you know, a reasonable amount of time. So, you know, I was still practicing with that. And the thing about perfection, I haven't had enough time just like having my face on screen. So to like create a video was a big deal for me. So just I had to keep redoing it until I felt at least comfortable that I wasn't stumbling over my words. So
try flipping. Go on, Roxy.
I was gonna say, I think it was a lifesaver that Screencastify, the free version, is only 5 minutes when I was doing it. So I didn't know any other way except 5 minutes or less. So I think that was actually helpful when I was first doing it. Just taught me to chunk things better.
Yeah, that probably would have been really helpful. I really like to use Loom and Google Meet to record things. So, you know, neither one of those have limits. So plus, you know, a lot of times I don't say anything. But when I do start talking, if it's something that I know a lot about and I'm passionate about, you can't shut me up. So.
Brilliant. Cami, do you want to tell us about Chromebooks then, and your students? Are all your students using Chromebooks? You mentioned in the chat that
we have our kids are 4 to 12 is 1-to-1 Chromebooks. So when we weren't, but really quickly, as soon as COVID started and everyone went home almost a year ago to the day, right? We found Chromebooks for everybody, bought some more, so the kids had Chromebooks. And so they've been getting better at using them. And I was just, I always pay attention to what's happening with the Chromebook. And just in the last, you know, like the Learning with Google updates that have come out in the last month or two, one of the big things is Chromebooks are going to have they have a built-in camera, but soon the next update, version 89, I think, is going to have a built-in screen recorder. So I'm excited for that. So it should make it easier. You know, our kids can certainly go to Screencastify and do all that, but if it's built in, that just makes it so much more right there. So I'm excited I'm hoping that teachers will take up on that. I do a Chrome Blitz series for my teachers this year to get them and their kids using Chromebooks, and it's actually been really successful. And so I'm going to make sure that one of the upcoming months is the task is that they have to actually do a little screencast so that they get in there and they use it and they know that they can do it. So yeah.
I think you shared some of those, didn't you, in the slides?
I did,
you share
yeah.
Some? I thought they were really cool. And Roxy as well, you shared something. Do you want to show us what you shared or tell us about them?
It was something that we had put together for our teachers, except for our teachers, it was like a website. It was a page. But we found out they were going to have to create some instructional videos this week because they needed a day to get ready for all the kids coming back, clean everything. And so I was like, yes, let me put something together. Because it was finally like a chance to maybe start getting them to think about like how to do it well. I mean, they can do it. They've been in Meet, you know, they can press record. But we, you know, wanted to maybe start talking about how to do this effectively, or, you know, thinking about some things you might want to include. The biggest thing is the time. I think that's hard for teachers, you know, just like we were talking about. So I was really excited, and we tried to put it together in a way where it wouldn't just be for this week, something that teachers could come back to, and something that was leveled. So if you were a beginner, there were some things to kind of start with and then kind of work your way up. So yeah, it was really fun. I had a good time doing it, except for the flip grid when you accidentally press back. Or I always do the thing where I start recording and working on it, and then I realize my microphone's not plugged in or it's not working or something. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that happens.
Brilliant. Thank you. I was really excited when I saw the things you were sharing. They were brilliant. Okay, thank you. So let's move on to question 2 then. Question 2 is the one about keeping students engaged in small group time. And Kelly, you were talking about choice boards, as were a lot of people. And you were also thinking about using a critical friend, and I know that's something a lot of you were thinking about, but you said, Kelly, that you hadn't got very far with your thoughts on that. So tell us where you've got so far with thinking about using critical friends.
Well, I'm thinking of using that more as like with the teachers, like if they had a critical friend to use, with learning a new tool or a practice, or just if they needed support, or especially if two have similar challenges that they're working on, they could each. I'm not sure really how to use this, but I feel like when I read it, I thought, well, there's a place for this, and how would you present this, and and use this with coaching.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I wondered if anybody else had any ideas or suggestions or things that you'd tried.
It seems like, since last March, we definitely have more of a collaborative environment. Teachers are more vulnerable because nobody knew anything, so it's okay not to know. So we're working together more. It just seems like it might be, it's a good opportunity, a good timing to bring in that thought of, having a critical friend in the coaching.
Yeah. Have you, is that something you've tried a lot, Becky?
As far as having critical friends for teachers?
Yeah.
So not a lot. I brought in a couple of teachers from different grades who are kind of working on the same problem. So right now I'm working with a 5th grade and a 3rd grade teacher together. One is in our distance learning academy and one is in hybrid. And it's actually been really helpful because they're giving each other ideas throughout. So it's like we're multiple thought partners. So it has been nice. But as far as just a critical friend, I would say the closest thing we have to that is we asked each hybrid teacher to buddy up with a distance learning academy teacher. And it's not necessarily to be a critical friend, but it kind of is. It's really for if they find out like at 2 p.m. that they're going to be digital for the next 2 weeks because there's been a positive case in their classroom or something like that. They need to have lesson plans ready to go. And it's not very fair to say, well, you're hybrid and sorry, this happened at 3 p.m., but you need to stay up until 9 p.m. preparing your virtual space for tomorrow. So instead, we've asked them to partner up with a digital learning teacher, same grade, that they can quickly call to say, hey, can I borrow your assignments for tomorrow? Or can I borrow some stuff from your Google Classroom? That's as close as we've gotten. But I love the idea of having the critical friends for coaching for teachers.
Yeah, or just for myself. I would like one. It's like it's hard to find one where I work. It's yeah. Yeah. And so Roxy, you were talking about choice boards as well. Do you want to tell us, and you've also shared some as well, do you want to tell us how you liked using choice boards? Oh, and you were talking about using Google Forms as well for branching.
I'm sorry, I think like my computer was spazzing out, so
oh,
you
sorry.
guys hear me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of concern about all the varying levels that students are going to come in, especially, it's, it's a challenge right now, but even thinking forward to next year.
I think she's gone now. Can the rest of you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Priscilla, go on. You had something to say.
Well, our teachers used a lot of choice boards starting with the pandemic. So like it was like their go-to. Over the summer, we tried to do a summer tech virtual bingo board, which I linked on slide 17, if you want to make a copy. But we didn't get as much use. I think the teachers were just really overwhelmed and didn't want to like do much tech over the summer. But it was, I think maybe this summer. No, I think this summer they're still going to be, maybe next year. But I saw on Cami, you had, I bookmarked yours, your PD ones. They looked really cool.
Yeah, she shared a lot, Cami. She's gone now. She's had to go, but she shared quite a few, and her blog as well. Some really good ones. Yeah. How about you, Melissa? Do you like choice boards?
I like them for myself. We haven't been able to really get, you know, here's a question I have, and I don't know if this is something that can be answered in this group, but when we see choice boards and when we've tried to present them in, like we have these things called Tech Tuesdays. Sometimes it works out really well where, you know, we will have one session, like we did breakout rooms, and this is when we were face to face, and we had people choose what they wanted to learn for that section, and we had it kind of in a choice board, and then they came back together and shared. What we're having a real hard time doing is trying to get people to do this personalized PD on their own, like when they're not getting paid to sit there for an hour and a half, you know. There are some teachers, don't get me wrong, there are some teachers who they just want to learn anything and everything they can, but unfortunately we have a large number of teachers who they will only learn if they get paid to learn. I don't know what to do about that. We try to make it more interesting, more exciting. We do have some people who will come in sometimes on their lunch breaks and work with us, or not lunch breaks, but like a prep time. But for the most part, it's real hard to get people, unless they're going to get paid, to come in, and I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah, Priscilla's saying she has the same problem. I've definitely got the same problem. The teachers who are not paid for it, some of them want to come and some of them don't. And sometimes the ones that come, they haven't done the work that we've asked them to do. So then you've got, yeah. I mean, I've used things like I do with the students, like Google Forms and things like that. Just really short ones. I've like 5-minute Google Form training that they've got to fill in the thing so I can tell when they've done it. But yeah, I don't know what other ideas the rest of you have got. Gerardo looks like he's got loads of ideas on this. He's smiling anyway.
No, I was thinking about the different ways that we try to make differentiation. And I love making differentiation. And recently, I just have groups with no many students, so it has been more easy to me make differentiated things and try to apply me with each one of my students. But in case of my teachers who are working with me in training and which are the prospective for coaching team, I have to do that because I am in a university, so they are from many different areas of knowledge and from very different kinds of manage their classes and their way to teach. So I really have to attend with some forms directed one to another form using the if single that comes with your forms. And when you resend from one question to another form or to another section, for trying to collect the most information from them about their process in training. So it's not easy, but it's really funny. I have to see that funny, because if I make it that a problem, I really be depressed. But I'm happy to do that. Maybe, but it is in Spanish, Becky. I will translate it and then I share it with you. As a matter of fact, we will be checking later another question about the resources and how to share resources. And in Spanish, not many times it's good to find resources because there's no many resources in Spanish. I really get crazy when I see the many resources that are in English, which I would like to translate and use with my teachers, but I don't have the time for do that. Really, when I see Stephanie Howell do so much things as Becky and Shannon and many other people who know in global, yeah, it's really amazing. I don't have the time. Maybe I should do that. Maybe being translating all of that, those resources, and make it in Spanish for help more teachers in Mexico. That's why I am smiling, because it should be fun, not a problem.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we have the opposite problem, right? Too many, and we just don't have time to watch them all. Yeah. Go on, Priscilla. You said you had the same problem as Melissa and I. Do you want to tell us how it is for you in your school?
I don't think there's a solution. Our biggest thing is that we are transitioning our K-6 to Schoology. So our 7-12 student or teachers are required to use Schoology, no class websites, no Google Classroom, no other LMS. But our K-6 has been kind of like a free-for-all. This past year, they were going to try to require Schoology for them as well, but it's just cruel to do that to teachers during this. So they know that they're probably going to have to transition to Schoology next year, but I have teachers, I want specific time allotted for me to learn about this. I want the training. So there isn't a solution. I do virtual drop-ins. Like today I had 3 virtual drop-ins. No teachers came this time for Schoology grading groups, but I think for me, I offer it, and I do. Usually it's my 5th and 6th hour teacher, so I'm offering that on Thursdays. That I have some regulars that come, which is good. They're willing to give up a prep or a lunch once a week, once a month to learn something. We made if you're familiar with Schoology, we made a Schoology course that was paced. So you had to like go through each section before you can move on to the next. And we have that for the teachers, and we keep pushing that all year. Like, you want to learn more, like you can meet with us one-on-one. You can come to our drop-ins. You could do this course. Schoology has their own course, but they're not going to be given like large chunks of time to learn this. And it's kind of like, if you want to make this easier for yourself in any tool, anything you're learning, if your district is requiring something, you have a whole, like, let's say in our example, we have a whole year to learn this tool that you're going to have to use in the fall. You learning it gradually is probably better than you learning it in like a week over the summer. Because you're getting paid for that week over the summer. But you're going to get stressed when you have to actually use it and you didn't get the time to try it. So, yeah, there is no solution. It's so sad.
Okay, and why are you moving over to that one then? Is there a reason?
I think they wanted something for the K or the 7-12 that was unified. And then now we have that disconnect with especially for our students and our parents. Like at the K-6 level, we might have teachers with Schoology, teachers with Google Classroom, teachers with Seesaw, and then you're using Clever, and like the parents and the students are just like all over the place. So just having some type of like unified communication, that's the biggest thing. We might keep Seesaw for certain grade levels, but just having that, this is how you're communicating with your parents. You're not having that class website. You're housing everything for your parents, because I can't imagine being a parent of a student with Seesaw, a student with Google Classroom, a student with Schoology, a teacher using a class website, and you're doing everything through email. I don't think I would be able to handle it as a parent.
It's a lot, right? Yeah.
Hey,
Interesting.
Francis.
Go
I
on.
think Stephanie came off of mute to add, and I'm not sure if you're able to see everyone when you're
Go on,
presenting.
Stephanie.
Sorry, I was typing in the chat.
Sorry.
I will delete that. One of the things that I have tried, so I have been using choice boards with the students in our after school program. And of course, I share those choice boards with the teachers. And, you know, when you share resources, you never know if teachers are going to use them or not. But again, you make it available. But one thing that I've started doing is I get my students in the after school program to fill out a Google form after we do an activity. So when I send out the choice board to the teachers or the resource to the teachers, I include like a little student testimonial. So something that the students said that they liked about, you know, whatever the resource was, so that they know, hey, you know, I'll try, maybe they'll try it because students enjoy it, and here are some reasons why they like it.
It's cool. Really good. Thank you. Anything else on question 2 before we move on to question 3? Roxy loves the idea too. Good. Brilliant. Moving on to question 3 then. So question 3, can't find it. Question 3 is the one about finding developmentally appropriate differentiated content. And this one I have to go to Kim, because Kim makes me rethink my whole relationship with the librarians that we have here in my institution, because we just don't collaborate. We don't work together. So reading about you is amazing for me. So I'd like you to start.
As I was typing that, I kept like backspace, and then going, no, I'm going to say it. So, you know, you may all be in districts where your librarians may or may not be, you know, doing the things that you are doing, but a lot of them probably are. And we may come at things at a different angle, but our goals are still the same, you know, to provide students and teachers with the information and the resources that they need. So one of the things that librarians are trained to do is differentiate things, you know, whether it be a physical collection or an electronic collection, you know, whether it be websites, ebooks, print books, you know, activities, all of those things, you know, listening to audio clips of things. That's our job. That's what we, you know, do. We're not the keepers of the books. Like, people still think of librarians as the keepers of the books, but we're not. So I would highly encourage you, if you are in a district where you have librarians that seem like they have that skill set, just try one time to work with them. All right, I'm done.
That's what I'm going to do after listening to you. Our librarians, I don't think they do anything like that at all. I've never had a project with them, but I'm going to go in the library next time I'm going to college. I'm going to ask them, because it just sounds so good. Go on, Priscilla. Tell us about your librarians.
I was just typing. I was like, it's like they evolved. Ours are not classified as like just traditional librarians of like how I grew up. They're called media specialists. So we have one in each building. K4 level, they actually teach students, and they do the library checkout, but they do the technology, the STEM, all of that. At the 512 level, it's more of like a library that you can like sign out and go to, but you could still do the projects. Like, we have microbits at our 5-6 level. We have 3D printers. We have access to other like STEM tools and things, like they want to do projects and do like a green screen, those kind of things. But they don't, those at the 512 level, they don't teach classes. So it's more like a resource for the students, a resource for the teachers. So they're very, very amazing people to work with. So like my counterpart, there's somebody that normally sits like right here. So she actually worked with our media specialist when I had my drop-in sessions. I had so much attendance this morning that to work on, they got new 3D printers and going through the steps of like how to work with them and use them with the kiddos.
Wow. And Stephanie was saying that's amazing. Stephanie, is that what it's like for you in your school?
Oh no.
It's very different. And how about you, Melissa? And Gerardo was definitely saying nothing like that for you either. No resources, no books, nothing in Spanish.
I know we have in a couple of our schools, I think our district, maybe with 28 schools, we might have a couple of librarians. Otherwise, we have classified staff that's trained how to use the checkout software, and that's pretty much it. So we don't have actual librarians. They cut them back in the day when they also cut like music teachers, and they'd cut a bunch of things, and we slowly started to get some library technicians back. I think we do have one school or maybe two schools that have an actual like librarian that's the whole media specialist who will do the STEM thing and arranges like virtual field trips with the kids, and really takes them into the love of not just reading but education in general. But I mean, I think that those are usually probably some school additionally funded thing. I don't think that they're definitely not the norm in our district, sadly.
So you are a rare specimen, Kim. Go on, Gerardo. You've got your hand up.
Oh, maybe I am exaggerating, but when I say there's no librarians, maybe there's a lot of bookkeepers, but no librarians. No media specialists. In my university, we have a good library, and we have some specialists, but they are isolated. There's not a link between the teachers' universe and the unique people that could really bring a difference to them. So when I say there's no, it's because there's no a good link, and it's so difficult when we try to take and establish that link. Now, one of the courses what I am teaching to my teachers in university, I have enrolled about 100, and is the creating contents. So when I come to say we are going to create creation of contents, they tell me, where do I find the contents? Because I can create electronically contents in books physically. Neither I can scan and upload, because there's no right to do that. So it has been difficult, and we're trying to involve them in the use of virtual libraries that maybe, no, not maybe. I am watching that of that group is huge. Either at 30% is trying to use that libraries. And how can we push them to use them? It's complicated.
Speak to Kim. Get Kim onto them.
Yeah. We're working on it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It's just so interesting for me to hear different relationships in different institutions. It's so interesting. Yeah, go on, Becky. Do you want to say that, or are you just typing it in?
Oh yeah, I was just saying, like, hearing everyone, it definitely sounds like a great opportunity to try like coaching. There's no rule that says we can only coach teachers, so why not reach out and try and work with those media specialists or library techs or whatever their name is, and see if they'd be interested in some coaching cycles. It's not something I've done, but now I'm thinking maybe it's the next step. I like it.
It's really good Thinking it through. Yeah, I love it. Thank you. And we're moving on to question 4 now because we're running out of time. And Cammie's back. Hello. And I'm going to come to Roxy because I know that she's worried that, or you said that you were a little bit worried about moving over to Schoology or Canvas, I think, and the implications of that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that before we go?
Yeah, sure. I've used Canvas before. I haven't used Schoology, but I just remember it was really easy to pump out worksheets, which was why some of our teachers liked it and why some of them don't like Classroom as much because it takes more work for them to create things. I think that's a good thing because it makes you really think about, you have to put some work into it on your end. The students have to put some work into it on their end. And I also am just super worried that they're going to take classes and start pumping those out. And instead of having the teachers design really amazing things for students, they're going to get these classes and it's just like, all right, now press assign, now collect, now press assign, now grade, now press assign. And that makes me sad. So I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Has anybody else got anything to say before we go? Because I'm aware it's like 22:58 and I don't want to keep you over time.
22:58, you mean 5:59?
My time is 22:59.
Roxy, if you ever need anything for Schoology, let me know. I did link a Schoology basics because like for the organization and that digital workflow is us trying to get, because at 712 level that we have is our teachers have created some courses that might be dumpster fires of information. There's just so much just dumped in there. So we're really trying with that K6 level to like teach them early, like organize, KonMari from the beginning, like spark joy, use those colored folders. Like one of my slides, I have it called The Power of Colors because one of our teachers has used colored folders to organize. So like the blue folder means full year content. Green folders means the current unit. Red folder is previous units. And white folders are informational folders. So like the students are like making that color connection. I was like, whoa, you took this to a whole other level. It wasn't me. It was a teacher, 6th grade teacher. She's amazing. And she's one of my regulars that come every Thursday and Tuesday. So yeah, if anybody needs any help with Schoology, just let me know.
Thank you. I've no idea what Schoology looks like even. We've only got Google Classroom and I'm really happy about that. So any other questions before we go? No? Similar thing in Google Classroom. I try to use standard emoji. Yes, you mentioned that, Cammie. I liked your idea of emojis for differentiating. It was brilliant. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming, everybody. It's great to hear you all again and see you. Is there anything else to add, Becky, that I've forgotten?
No, I think you got it all. We'll meet again in 2 weeks, and we've got our monthly meet that you're all welcome to join us on the 20th. So the 20th at all different times. So thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.